You just press the button.
I think it's kind of a no-brainer.
This is a real button.
He was instantly recognizable and utterly remarkable. The visionary scientist, helpless in his high-tech wheelchair, who nonetheless transformed our view of the universe. While a student, he developed the first signs of motor neurone disease. Gradually, his body shut down, till he could communicate only using a computerized voice synthesizer, controlled to start with by hand. It didn't hold him back.
I was never actually told that I had only 2 years to live, but I could see the doctors didn't think my prospects were good.
His fame sprang from his book, A Brief History of Time. It sold 10 million copies, but though many bought it, rather fewer actually read it. His theories about time, space and black holes were stupendously difficult for non-specialists to grasp, but he turned out to have a genius for communication. He gave lectures and interviews and became an unlikely celebrity. He even appeared in The Simpsons.
I don't like your tone.
If you are looking for trouble, you found it.
Yeah, just try me, you... Oh!
And on an episode of Star Trek, he played poker with Isaac Newton, his predecessor as Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge.
Physics. The day that apple fell on my head was the most momentous day in the history of science.
Not the apple story again.
His private life was complicated. With his first wife, Jane, he had 3 children, and she looked after him, until in 1990 he left her for his nurse, Elaine. They eventually married, only for claims to emerge that Hawking had been physically abused. Police investigated, but the case was dropped for lack of evidence. The couple later divorced.
Too often they are told that these are stupid questions to ask, but this is said by grown-ups who don't know the answers.
He never lost his sense of humour, though by the end he could only speak by twitching his cheek to move an infrared beam.
I don't have much positive to say about motor neuron disease, but it taught me not to pity myself and to get on with what I still could do. I am happier now than before I developed the condition.
If general relativity is correct, then
Yes.
universe is expanding, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so if you reverse time, then the universe is getting smaller.
All right.
In 2014, his life was dramatised in The Theory of Everything, with Eddie Redmayne playing Hawking.
To see what happened at the beginning of time itself.
Stephen, here you are.
At Cambridge, they unveiled a statue of him, a rare honour for someone still living. But few did more to transform our understanding of the universe and to overcome personal challenges.
Good evening. Very special program tonight. Stephen Hawking is a theoretical physicist. He was the Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at the University of Cambridge for 30 years. He's the 2009 recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom and co-author of a brilliant and controversial new book, The Grand Design. And we welcome him back to Larry King Live. We have a series of questions planned. Let's get right to it. Stephen, why is it important to find the grand design of our universe?
I believe everyone should have a broad picture of how the universe operates and our place in it. It is a basic human desire, and it also puts our other worries in perspective.
You say that science can explain the universe without the need for a creator. Well, what is that explanation? Why is there something instead of nothing?
Gravity and quantum theory cause universes to be created spontaneously out of nothing.
You write that because there is a law such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing. Will you tell me how that law came into existence?
Gravity is a consequence of M theory, which is the only possible unified theory. It is like saying, why is 2 plus 2 4?
I guess simply put, do you believe in God?
God may exist, but science can explain the universe without the need for a creator.
So he may exist. I'll pick up on that with the panel. Your book has stirred a lot of controversy. Why do you think people react so strongly to your contention that it's not necessary to invoke God to explain the creation of the universe?
Science is increasingly answering questions that used to be the province of religion.
One of your colleagues at Cambridge says that science provides us with a narrative as to how existence may happen, but theology addresses the meaning of the narrative. How do you respond to that?
The scientific account is complete. Theology is unnecessary.
Pretty directly put. What gives your life, your existence, meaning?
I have a full and satisfying life. My work and my family are very important to me.
You recently said that you see great dangers for the human race. What are the sources of these dangers? Is it mankind itself or external factors?
We are in danger of destroying ourselves by our greed and stupidity. We cannot remain looking inwards at ourselves on a small, an increasingly polluted and overcrowded planet.
Well, then, what are mankind's chances of surviving these dangers?
If we can get through the next few hundred years, we should have spread out into space. Then, an isolated disaster will not wipe out the entire human race.
We got to get through the next 200 years, though. We'll be right back with more of the directly responsive Stephen Hawking.
According to M theory, ours is not the only universe. Instead, M theory predicts that a great many universes were created out of nothing. Their creation does not require the intervention of some supernatural being or God. Rather, these multiple universes arise naturally from physical law. They are a prediction of science.
We're back with Stephen Hawking. He's in Cambridge, England. He's the co-author, and we're going to meet the co-author in a little while, of The Grand Design. You have written, Stephen, that time travel was once considered scientific heresy. How likely is it that time travel will one day become a reality?
Time travel used to be thought of as science fiction, but Einstein's theory of general relativity allows the possibility that we could warp space-time so much that you could fly off in a rocket and return before you set out. I was one of the first to write about the conditions under which this would be possible. Unfortunately, it is likely that the warping would destroy the spaceship, and maybe the space-time itself.
If you could time travel, would you go forward or backward?
I would go forward and find if M theory is indeed the theory of everything.
Do you have a hero? Who is your hero, and if so, why?
Galileo, the first modern scientist who realized the importance of observation. I feel closest to him because he followed his nose and was a bit of a rebel.
You have said that experiencing zero gravity is one of the most meaningful experiences you've ever had. Why?
Zero gravity was amazing. I could have gone on and on. Being confined to a wheelchair doesn't bother me, as my mind is free to roam the universe,
but it felt wonderful to be weightless.
What, Stephen, do you most hope people take away from your new book, The Grand Design? In your opinion, and it's a great book with a lot of important points, what is the most important point in the book?
That science can explain the universe, and that we don't need God to explain why there is something rather than nothing, or why the laws of nature are what they are.
What quality or lesson would you most like to pass on to your children?
Look up at the stars, not down at your feet.
Succinct. And Stephen, finally, you are 68 years old. You'll be 69 in January. Your many admirers always worry about and wonder about your health. So can you tell us how you're doing?
When I was first diagnosed with ALS, I was given 2 years to live. Now, 45 years later, I'm doing pretty well. Can you hear me? I am delighted and honored to receive a special prize in fundamental physics. I would like to thank Yuri Milner for founding these prizes, to recognize outstanding work that may not qualify for the Nobel Prize, because it is very difficult or impossible to confirm experimentally. In my case, although almost every theoretical physicist agrees with my prediction, that a black hole should glow like a hot body, it would be very difficult to verify experimentally. The temperature of a macroscopic black hole is so low. I thought my discovery would never be confirmed or recognized. However, it could be claimed that it has already been indirectly confirmed by observations of the microwave background. It is thought that the very early universe underwent a period of accelerating or inflationary expansion. This would create conditions similar to a black hole, and would give the universe an effective temperature. Thermal fluctuations in the very early universe would be frozen in, and would cause small differences in the microwave background in different directions. These have been observed, and agree with predictions. The thermal emission from black holes is important, because it shows that black holes have intrinsic entropy, and it shows that there is a deep connection between gravity and thermodynamics. It plays a key role in the ADS-CFT duality. I have also made contributions to cosmology. My early work with Roger Penrose showed that classical general relativity predicted the universe had a beginning in a Big Bang singularity. that the universe had a beginning in the Big Bang 13.7 billion years ago is now accepted by most people working in cosmology, and is supported by the discovery of a faint background of microwaves. The prediction of singularities indicates that classical general relativity breaks down and has to be replaced by a quantum theory of gravity. Jim Hartle and I proposed that the quantum state of the universe should be defined by a path integral over all compact Euclidean metrics without boundary. In other words, the boundary condition of the universe is that it has no boundary. The no boundary condition implies that the laws of physics hold everywhere, even at the beginning of the universe. Together with Thomas Hertog, Jim and I showed that the no-boundary proposal predicts that the universe began with a period of inflation, a prediction which may be confirmed tomorrow, when the data from the Planck satellite are published. I feel a sense of achievement that I have managed to make these contributions, despite having ALS. I have not allowed my disability to stop me doing most things. My motto is there are no boundaries. Thank you. I hope basic science becomes part of general awareness. What now appear as the paradoxes of quantum theory will seem as just common sense to our children's children. I didn't do myself because I wanted to understand the universe. People come up to me and say how much they have understood it all. If they did, they would be ready to start a PhD in theoretical physics. I really enjoyed our game, Dr. Cooper.
Oh, me too.
Or should I say Dr. Loser? There is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up.